Hello and welcome to the Swine Disease Reporting System. This is the report number 49. This report we're going to cover the findings from the previous month of February. We are very happy that this is our fourth, celebrating in this edition, the fourth year of the Swine Disease Reporting System. So it is a special edition for us. My name is Edson Magalhães here at Iowa State University.
Hello, my name is Giovanni Trevis. I'm here at Iowa State University.
Hello, Daniel Linhares, also at Iowa State.
So, as I said, this is we are celebrating today the fourth year of the Swine Disease Reporting System. It started in February of 2018 when the first report was released. Giovanni, how do you feel about this special date?
Well, we are very happy to be achieving the fourth year of this project and for all of the collaboration that started between Iowa and the University of Minnesota of sharing this diagnostic data and now has been expanding to include Kansas, South Dakota, and Ohio. And we are very fortunate to have a very good group of advisory group and collaborators that provide input and feedback for this project and keep that moving on. And for the funding that we have been receiving from SHIC to keep this project alive. So thank you for everybody that has been contributing for this.
Okay, and today we have, as I said, a special edition. Before we cover the SDRS findings from the previous month, we're going to have a special discussion with the five champions from the five VDLs that are participating in this swine disease reporting system. Starting with Dr. Angela Pilitsky. Thanks for participating.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
She's the director of the South Dakota Animal Disease and Research Diagnostic Laboratory. Also, we have today Dr. Franco Matias Ferreira. Thanks, Franco, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and congratulations for these 4 years, guys.
Thank you. So Franco is the diagnostician from a Kansas State University VDL. Dr. Jerry Thorson, he's the director of the University of Minnesota VDL. Dr. Thorson, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's an exciting day.
Melanie Parrott, she's the head of laboratory operations at the Ohio Animal Disease and Diagnostic Laboratory. Thanks, Melanie.
Hello. Greetings from Central Ohio. Excited to be here today.
Thank you. And finally, Dr. Roger Main, he's the director of the Iowa State University VDL. Thank you, Dr. Main.
Thanks, Edison. Appreciate the opportunity to participate.
Okay, so let's get started. So first question, I have a question for Dr. Angela Pilitsky. Congratulations on your recent position at the South Dakota State University VDL. So in your opinion, what is the value of the SDRS for the participant VDLs and for the U.S. swine industry?
So I think there are a lot of advantages for both the participating VDLs and the swine industry. So I'm going to touch on a very few, but I came up with a long, extensive list. But I think for the VDLs, one of the most important things is being able to contribute data to this project. I think it really adds value to the swine industry, the information that they need and seek. And it also helps to fulfill a portion of the mission of the diagnostic laboratories, is to be able to provide data like this to our stakeholders and to our clients. And the fact that you have several contributing diagnostic laboratories, I think really adds to the robust nature of the information that you can provide to the swine industry. Secondly, I think it gives opportunity for the VDLs themselves to compare their own data to the aggregated data. Sorry. And I think that's really important for the VDLs when they're looking at trends within their own laboratories, but then they can also use that data to look at their tests and their sample types and sort of do a check-in with the performance of the tests that they're running in their lab. And again, I think having the VDLs, their ability to look at historical data also provides them with the ability to maybe anticipate what their client needs are going to be based on historical things, and particularly with the PRRS strain information, again, to really have the VDLs be aware if there are changes going on, and so that they can serve their clients in that capacity as well. I think for the swine industry, there are a lot of really valuable information that this project provides to the swine industry. And the first and foremost, obviously, would be just tracking those disease trends. And they're based in pathogens that are obviously important to the swine industry. And it looks at both viral and bacterial pathogens. And then you take all this aggregated data and then you provide it in several different parameters so they can look up based on production category or time based in months and years. So you really can get you can fine tune the data for them. So if they have a particular area of interest, they can really see what the data looks like in that particular area. And I love that you have the advisory group input on the monthly reports. I think they add incredible value to those reports. A lot of the reports can be obviously very data heavy. And so when you have the advisory committee giving their input, I think it really lends value to what they think is important in implications of disease trends for the swine industry as a whole. And lastly, I think on more of a personal basis, I really enjoy the format that you present all this data in. Again, obviously, it's very heavy data. There's a lot of data points, but you present it in a very user-friendly and very visual representation. So you have really nice bar graphs and line graphs and trend lines. So I think it's, you can sit and have a cup of coffee and really look at this report and get a lot of good information out of it without having to really delve into the data, the heavy data itself.
I'll say, though, that you talked about the format, and I agree 100%. Every time you guys send the PDF out, the final PDF report, I just forward it along to our molecular and virology staff so that they can see the updates as well. So I agree with that. The format is very good.
Thanks for the feedback.
Yeah.
Follow up with Franco here on your role today. Franco, you work as an animal health and research professional with also some service component, right? And so how would SDRS help you making decisions on the role you play today in the swine industry?
Yeah. Well, again, guys, thank you very much for inviting me. Again, thank you very, very glad that you are 4 years on the air. It's an amazing job that you, Dr. Linares, do. And I just, I want to extend in that sense that, in the way that I interpret this data, it's twofold. One, as Angela was saying, it's that these disease trends are very useful, for diagnosticians in the way that we communicate with our clients, the submitting veterinarians, and what we are seeing and what it might happen or not, right? I guess a very good example is the peer strains, the 144, that have been lately, causing some trouble in Iowa and Minnesota, and well, here in Kansas, and some of the states that they send samples to us, they are already informed about that, and I think pretty much it's in the net of information that, the stakeholders, the private practitioners, and we as diagnosticians and the role of the VDLs, they complement and this is very progressive, for the swine industry. Also help us, on what to focus on research, in the sense that we might look, for new pathogens, or we might see new disease trends. So I think that's very important in that sense. And the role that you giving us information and how we share with the public is very important. That interconnection, I think, is fantastic.
So one follow-up question that we have here, and I'm going to pick one, Dr. Thorson, this is going to send for you, is, well, these 5 laboratories are part of a national animal health laboratory network, and that was established in the past. Can you remind us for what was the contribution of this laboratory, a little bit of why they were established, and how they have been supporting stakeholders in protect animal health and improve the national food sovereignty?
Sure, happy to. Thanks, Giovanni, and again, pleasure to be with everybody. And I'll add my personal thanks for the good working relationship we've had among the different labs. It's really been a pleasure, and I think very productive and helpful. So specifically for the NALN, which is how we call the National Animal Health Laboratory Network. So this is a network made up of it's a partnership, I would call it, that includes, it combines the resources, the infrastructure, the expertise from state veterinary diagnostic labs all over the country and the National Veterinary Services Laboratories. And so this is a way to provide ongoing disease surveillance, rapid response to disease events, and efficient communication with decision makers. So what does that mean? It means that we combine to increase the capabilities and the capacity that USDA or the individual labs couldn't provide alone. And so the big word is leveraging the resources of everyone involved. And so it's somewhat similar to this, but it's got a very sort of rigorous tone to it. It's based on quality standards that all the labs have to achieve. And so that's partly from the American Association of Veterinary Laboratory Diagnosticians accreditation process. So these quality standards have to be there because everyone uses the same standardized protocols and equipment so that these results are recognized internationally. And so we are working on behalf of the state animal health officials and the USDA when we're performing these official tests. These are done in biosecure facilities by trained and tested staff. So each staff member that runs each test has to have a proficiency test done annually. We're trying to work our way down from that a little bit. And then finally, secure communication so that the people who are making the decisions get the information very rapidly. So what does this mean for the swine industry, for example? So some people might remember back in 2009, there was an H1N1 influenza outbreak in people that became pretty exciting for a lot of producers. And the NALN network provided a lot of the testing that was done and then the ongoing surveillance to understand if there were risks associated with influenza in pigs that could potentially threaten people. And so a big public health mission, sort of staying on the public health vein. More recently, the last couple of years, the NALN network has had a very large role with the SARS-CoV-2 response. And so some labs did a lot of testing of human samples. So 2.5 to 3 million samples were tested in NALN labs. And other labs helped out by providing equipment, supplies, all the things needed for the human health labs to continue testing. And so, us here, the public health needed swabs. And so I actually went out to a swine clinic and asked if we could borrow swabs so that they could test at processing plants in order to stay open. So kind of oddball stuff, but it's part of everyone working together to increase surge capacity, to combine our capabilities together. And so if I wanted to pull out a few key words, I would say, again, leveraging everyone's resources in a robust and reliable way that keeps us all ready. So there's my alliteration: robust, reliable, ready. Okay?
Thank you for sharing all of that.
That was a really good description.
Thank you.
Question now for Melanie. So Melanie, recently we are happy to have you guys on board, Ohio, participating. And recently, this month, we already have the PCR data from Ohio participating here in the SDRS project. So how do you envision the future of the swine disease diagnostic and monitoring in the future?
Thanks, Edison. First, I am very excited that Ohio has been able to join SDRS. It's been a labor of love from the IT side of things, a lot of things happening in the background that I don't understand as a molecular biologist, but very thankful for Giovanni and the team at Iowa working with our team in Ohio to get this up and running. So yes, as Edison said, PCR data is coming through starting this month, and some of the PERS sequencing data has been coming through for a couple of months now. We are in the era of big data science, and so I see that being a big part of the future for swine disease diagnostics and surveillance. I also see genomics as a significant player as well. In Ohio, we're doing whole genome sequencing of influenza A viruses from swine. We routinely do the PERS sequencing as well, and I would like to continue developing that in the future. Additional training, increasing our capacity with staffing. Something that we want to focus on is offering more internships. We find that a lot of the people that end up in our laboratories came in as interns in vet school or graduate school, but building upon skill sets in bioinformatics is going to be very important for the future of swine health diagnostics and surveillance.
Thanks a lot.
Roger, as Giovanni said earlier, the work between you and Jerry, you guys set the foundation for this project, right? And you both also work on the SHIP, the U.S. Swine Health Improvement Plan. And as the SHIP PI, can you tell us a bit more about the U.S. SHIP and what's the importance of this collaborative work between VDLs for such a project, and where is that going to take us? Can you elaborate on that?
Right. So, excuse me. Thank you. The U.S. Swine Health Improvement Plan, or what we're calling U.S. SHIP, is it's a USDA Veterinary Services pilot project sponsored endeavor that really centers on establishing a platform that brings industry, state, and federal partners together around common standards and definitions associated, in this case, for conferring a certification that's recognized across states, and ultimately to trading partners around the health of swine. Okay, and really what we're doing is just leaning and learning and leveraging some of the experiences from our colleagues in the barnyard for a program that's been long-standing in the U.S. poultry and egg industries that's called the National Poultry Improvement Plan, or NPIP. And NPIP has been around, actually dates back to the 1930s. And it's really the central means at which the health status of poultry in this country are. There's certifications associated with those, and that's really the gold standard for recognition of health of U.S. poultry. That's recognized, again, common definitions and standards, that are recognized across states. And the principal objective of this endeavor is to establish what's called a ASF, CSF monitored certification that's really being patterned after the long-standing, what they call H5, H7 avian influenza monitored certification that's held by something north of 99% of all commercial-scale poultry operations. And really what this ASF, CSF monitored certification aims to do is to proactively establish a system, again, of common definitions and standards and recognized across states that really center on demonstrating evidence of freedom of disease outside of control areas, founded on well-recognized program standards associated with biosecurity, traceability, and disease surveillance.
So it's all centered, like you said, in common terminology, and what Jerry was talking about, the NOM system that allows further integrate the diagnostic results with the U.S. SHIP program too, right?
Yeah, and another thing, a key thing I think that attracted us to it, and like you mentioned, it's a highly collaborative thing. It's across 4 of our core universities with Minnesota, South Dakota, and Illinois, and then some folks here at Iowa State that have kind of pulled the pilot together. But it's really across industry, state, and federal partners. And a core essence of NPIP is, and we're really patterning this U.S. SHIP program on its same basis, is that it leverages the expertise and the practical know-how from across the folks across the country. Very similar in that of the NOL. And the NOL labs would certainly be central to this endeavor, as any of the associated testing that may come along with it would be conducted in the NOL labs that are certified to conduct such testing. But what it does is it brings a congress of stakeholders with representatives from all the participating states. Again, that these are the SMEs and practical industry stakeholders that have firsthand knowledge of the industries that are attempting to be protected and so on. And really, that's the congress of folks that comes together, determines what are the common definitions and standards associated with the given certification.
Thanks for the background.
Okay, guys. So like I said, before we cover the reports, we were going to have this discussion. So I would like to thank you all, the 5 champions that you guys are seeing here in the screen. Without the partnership that we have with them and the support also from SHIC, the SDRS project wouldn't be able to have, right? So thanks for your partnership and for supporting us and all the feedback. And we hope we have more and more years to celebrate from this project. Now we're going to move to the findings from the previous month. But yeah, first of all, thank you all for participating today.
Yeah, thank you very much for participating, for all of the information that you have been sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity, and keep up the good work. It's really an important project that you guys are involved in.
Thank you.
All of us.
Okay, guys, that was a great discussion. Thanks for your participation, your contribution. So now let's move on to the next part of this podcast, of this report, which is to cover the findings from the SDRS related to the previous month. Giovanni, what were the major findings, the PCR findings for the PRRS, enteric coronavirus, and mycoplasma?
Edson, I can tell you, February of 2022, it was crazy. It's very dynamic. What was in the beginning of the month is not more what happened during the month. So for PRRS virus, we started the month with a lower level of detection, but it was basically week of February 6, where we had the highest number so ever tested for PRRS virus submissions for the age category adult self-harm. And those reflect in a change in the positivity that's going up, and more specifically, there is the PRRS virus lineage 1C variant strain that did form a new wave during December and January. And what was different is that you had a lot of those sequences that came from adult self-harm. So if you look in the last January, February, continues to be detected in Iowa, Minnesota, but what really changed is that now you have more detections occurring in Missouri, Colorado, Nebraska, and South Dakota for this strain. So we start to see some changes in the way of is detecting, and may be spreading more to the other regions and not only Iowa, Minnesota now. And that was it for PRRS virus. When we look for the enteric coronavirus, it was a similar thing. We really did change the way of detection for PED. We started the month with a little bit more of activity, and really the big change was from Iowa, that we had usually about 10% positivity in submissions for PD in this state. But on the week of February, during February, it went for 30%, and the week of February 16, it went for above 40% in the win to finish phase here in Iowa. So that really changed the pattern of detection of PED. And on the week of February 6 also was the highest number so ever of submissions tested for PD coming from adult self-harm. So something is going on in the field, and that is associated with more activity in Iowa. But if you look for other states like North Carolina, Missouri, Oklahoma, they also had some activity of PD at the end of 2021, and that continues for 2022. And more recently, we start to see activity and detection of this agent in Nebraska, Ohio, and Missouri. So lots of regional issues going on. Similar in the last 2 weeks, Delta coronavirus activity really started to change, and that was basically driven by increased detection in Iowa, Missouri, and some spike in Nebraska, Ohio, and Minnesota. So some of the cases that you have diagnosed with Delta coronavirus, the animal seems to be normal, but the agent is there and is causing issues to be detected. So we also have the same signal for increasing number of diagnoses for PED here at Iowa State VDL in terms of the disease diagnosis chart. So those are really some change that's happening in lots of activity of these agents in the field right now.
Yeah, great, Giovanni. It's important to see with the SDRS capability to follow those trends that are changing over time, over weeks, and also by region, right?
Right, Edson. And that's a great point, and we really learn over time that SDRS is a tool that can rapidly respond to these changes and keep the swine industry informed of what is going on a real-time basis in terms of agent detection. So,
yeah, no. Thanks, Giovanni. And that was it. Thanks, guys, for listening us. It was a great discussion that we had today, and I see you guys next month. Thank you.